Hello, welcome to the ZBN. We're doing a Minish recap today over the Nintendo Treehouse stream that they did during E3. But we're not going to focus too much on that one big game that they had there, because we're going to have a dedicated podcast for that after this. We're just going to talk about the other games that they showed there. With me today is Spigel.
Guys, I think I'm literally dying. E3 has killed me.
Spigel's a bit sick. We have Todd.
Hello.
And we have Xiaber.
Hey.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah, you didn't introduce yourself.
I'm Josh.
There you
go. I'm
go.
Josh. I think this is the second thing I've ever hosted on the ZBN.
Yay! You're tied with me then.
So first game we should talk about, Pokemon Go. What do you guys think of that?
I think the display they did today was that they showed it. I mean, was they didn't quite do it so well because we all thought the app was $35, and I had my mind explode when I found out it's Pokemon Go Plus that's $35, guys.
Yeah, I think that was just a problem with both
name.
The translators, Bill, who was asking the question, and Miyamoto, who answered the question. It made it seem like the whole app was $35.
Yeah, so I don't know. The app, it might be fine, and I think the pricing for it is it's because you're basically paying for the device that gets you Pokemon and candies that you would otherwise be buying with microtransactions. So that's money that they would not be getting because you bought this thing that will probably get you hundreds of dollars worth of microtransaction stuff.
Yeah.
So is Pokemon Go Plus a way to avoid all the microtransactions that you would otherwise get?
It's the Pokewalker, basically.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
Because you can catch Pokemon, but it's a lot slower with the phone. Because like you would have to constantly look at your phone, and then you get candies by catching Pokemon. But with the Pokemon Go Plus, you can catch them by pushing a button, and it vibrates whenever Pokemon's.
It just makes it more efficient.
It makes it
so you can just walk
horrendously
around
easy.
pressing the button, and like we get to our destination, suddenly we have like 10 random Pokemon.
I don't want to be like super negative on Pokemon Go because I know a lot of people are super excited to catch Pokemon in the real world, but like whenever I want to play Pokemon on the go, I just play a Pokemon game, and that's just sort of what I've always done. I'm not interested in this microtransaction-y mobile game where you have to, press buttons and get candies, and I don't know, I just don't want to do that.
What I'm liking is eventually you're going to be able to trade with other players, and they're going to be integrating it with Sun and Moon, which is the next topic.
Yeah, eventually they will. They said they're not going to do it yet, but they're trying to do integration.
Yeah, it's their like Splatoon approach, where they're like, wait till everybody's level 10 kind of thing, seeing if there's even a point to bothering with the dev.
Basically, I'm excited for Pokemon Go just because of the interactions with other players, which sadly doesn't exist yet. So they need to work on that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be having too many interactions with other players personally. So I'm probably going to play the game for maybe a month.
You don't want to admit to people that you're playing Pokemon and you're like 20 plus years old.
I have no problem with
He's
that.
a weeb. He has no friends.
Obviously, you're not going to be walking around. You're obviously not going to walk around and like catch someone's eye and start a battle. But like the idea of like
fun.
going to gamer-related places and having Pokemon battles sounds really awesome.
Conventions would be great doing that. Going to a convention and just crazy.
It's like I go to Smash Bros. Tournaments. It would be awesome to be doing Pokemon battles in between.
All right, so moving on, let's talk about Pokemon Sun and Moon. I really liked the presentation they had on day one, even if it cut right into the Zelda stuff.
Yeah, some people are a bit mad because they like got a hint of Zelda and then got Pokemon, but
for an hour.
Yeah, Ami just ignored Pokemon, just kept watching the Zelda thing over and over again.
Yeah, I think that approach honestly does deserve a little bit of criticism. I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to be like, look, we have other stuff too, like pay attention to us. But like, honestly, it felt underwhelming to go from that to Pokemon, which is fine. I mean, Pokemon is not a game that shows well because it's largely the same thing. What are you seeing? You're seeing new Pokemon. It's not like you're seeing it in 3D for the first time either, because they've already done that. So, like, why? I understand why they felt they needed to show Pokemon right there, but I don't think it worked, and it's unfortunate because I think a lot of people are now sour about it because it cut into their Zelda time.
Yeah, taking it on its own, it's really cool.
it could have easily been put on like the second day or something, but they were trying to ride on Zelda's popularity on maybe giving the Pokemon a huge boost, but it really wasn't executed that well.
It would have been better if they showed, like, I don't know, an hour of gameplay, even half an hour before switching to Pokemon instead of right after the trailer.
It would have been better if the mic wasn't inside Sam's mouth while she was talking, and we got to hear every little smack of her lips.
Josh, you're gonna
really
take that?
It's actually worse, There was actually worse mic stuff happening the second day.
Really?
Yeah. There was one point where like someone's like off screen but still talking in the mic, being like, I'm leaving the stage or something like that.
Bro Jared like walked away during like the other the day 2 thing, and he tried handing the mic off to the host, but then she didn't quite get it, so he just walked away with the mic.
You know, Nintendo's been doing this Treehouse Live for now 3 years. You'd think they would have like ironed some of this stuff out. I mean, I realize it's live. Live is hard. Live is very hard. If you go listen to our reaction, apparently they're all terrible. But
Sony's is great.
But yeah, those little tiny mistakes that they have in the Treehouse streams kind of make them a little more charming to me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they showed a lot more Zelda, like so much Zelda that it made up for like, oh, come on, why was the Pokemon there? But then we got like 6 hours more after that. Like, it was sort of like it made me mad for a split second, but then we got so much Zelda afterwards that you easily forget about
like
what
7
happened.
hours.
Yeah.
Which
Like I got home from work and they were still doing it.
Which by the way, we're not going to talk about Zelda too much today because we're doing like a separate thing for that. There's going to be some other people on it.
Whole podcast of it.
Yeah.
Back to the Pokemon though, yeah. Like, I actually really enjoyed it once I got over the Zelda issue. Like, it got me excited to play it. There is some interesting things like how the camera wasn't always facing the same direction. Like, it would be moving and the camera would like change angles and stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Although his walking animation looks awful.
What did you guys think of the new Pokemon? Like, do you guys have any opinions on that? Because I know with Pokemon fans, it's always a cycle. I hate the new Pokemon. Oh, it's kind of good. It's amazing. They're all like that.
Was it only the 2 Pokemon they showed?
There was
only the 2 new ones?
Young Goose, the Donald Trump Pokemon, and then what was the other one?
I love the owl. I went
There's
the
like
owl.
a bird one. I really liked the bird one.
The bird.
I can't remember.
It was just the bird of the generation, but it looks pretty decent.
Yeah, I like it. So we should probably start moving on now.
Yeah.
Ever Oasis. I was really shocked and surprised by this. A new IP by the guy who worked on... He designed, I think, Chocobos and Moogles, I think.
Yeah. He was a major person in the first 3 Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, and he also worked on the
Mana series.
Yeah, like Secret of Mana.
Yep. And it's Grezzo, like, making it too.
Yeah, Nintendo finally gave Grezzo a project.
They're finally not working on Zelda remakes.
Yes.
And I guess also Triforce Heroes.
Well, you know what? Grezzo did such a phenomenal job with those Zelda remakes and the visuals and the aesthetic. They just nailed it. I know it's a remake, but I'm very confident that Ever Oasis is going to be a very entertaining game. Everything they showed I thought was very interesting. They had me captivated for like the whole thing. It was a little Monster Hunter-y with going around in the desert and like attacking stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't love Monster Hunter, but
did you guys ever play Fantasy Life?
Yeah, I did.
I remember that.
Because I got a huge Fantasy Life like esque feeling from it.
Yeah, and I myself said on Twitter, like, I think this is what Fantasy Life would be like if Fantasy Life had been good.
Oh, what? It was decent.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was just kind of... It was
the main story was awful.
It
but
was
the side
paid by numbers. It was like barely an RPG.
Josh and I had a slightly different approach. I guess it's basing on what games you've played in the past 2 years. We sort of thought it was like a Dark Souls game for kids in a fashion.
Essentially, yeah.
It's really interesting.
The combat is kind of similar, especially with the rolling. Mostly with the rolling.
Definitely with the rolling. That's the one bit that I like to emphasize on a lot of games. Like, oh, there's rolling. Well, I guess I might like this one, guys.
Well, it just reminds me of Kingdom Hearts then.
Gotta equip that dodge roll.
I definitely got a more Final Fantasy feel when you mentioned that he's worked on a few of those or something.
Yeah.
I thought it looked like My Sims at first, and I was like, oh no.
But it looks much better than My Sims artistically.
Oh yeah, well aesthetically it looks phenomenal. I think they nailed this whole like desert oasis thing. I can't wait to get into this game and like start like just playing around and like seeing what I can do. It makes me wonder, like, they announced this game, they didn't give us a single thing about when this game was coming out.
Yeah.
You can assume if it was this year, they probably would have said it. So 3DS continuing onward into 2017.
Did they mention anything about multiplayer with the game, or is it just all single player?
I don't remember anything about multiplayer, so...
You think that would be interesting to do, since you're like controlling 3 characters by yourself anyway?
That seems like something they would have mentioned if they were going to do it, right?
Well, maybe they might think about it since we don't know release date yet.
They just worked on Triforce Heroes, so maybe they have something like that in mind. They just haven't revealed it yet.
Maybe that's why they have 3 people you're controlling.
Yeah.
I didn't know Grezzo worked on Triforce Heroes.
Yeah, I looked it up. Apparently they did.
Oh.
They did.
Yeah, maybe that's like a prototype of this one then.
Maybe.
Hopefully it ends up being better than that, but...
Oh my god, yes. I feel like this will be much better than their last IP, the Project Steam thing.
One thing that concerned me with the game was I noticed in the boss fight specifically, when you were controlling a certain character, the AI that was controlling the other characters was freaking dumb as hell. Like they wouldn't get out of the way. They just kept getting hit by attacks.
You had to treat them like dumb Pikmin, where they would just sort of follow you. So it'd be like tugging on the rope to get them out.
Yes.
Of like the attacks.
It reminded me of Ni no Kuni a little bit. How like you can't let your partners do whatever they want because they're gonna get killed almost immediately.
So they do get hit when they're not being controlled?
It looked like it to me.
So.
I mean, like, and it is early. Like, they can still iron that out. Maybe the AI needs to be improved, but like it was concerning to me because the woman who was playing, she was like all of her characters were almost dead, and they just kept getting hit. And I'm like, are you not concerned about this?
It was very convenient for the demo because they had to beat the boss for the demo. So if you noticed, there was one time one of the heroes almost certainly was supposed to be dead, but then she switched to it and it had health left. And I'm like, okay, well, it's a demo, so they're going to do something to make it so that it's like, look, this is what happens when you defeat a boss.
This is unrelated, but when they showed Days Gone at the Sony conference, the gameplay at the end, there were so many times when that guy would have been so dead by all those zombies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But like
he ran straight through the horde at one point.
Yeah. At least we know it wasn't scripted, because like he would have like actually died if they had had the difficulty on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ever Oasis, I think, is one of the most exciting new IP I've seen from Nintendo in quite a while.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be like more popular than Project Steam ended up being.
I mean, hopefully it'll be marketed, unlike Codename Steam, because Codename Steam wasn't marketed at all, and it just flopped out of the gate.
Yeah.
You were the only marketer.
I'm the only person who bought Codename Steam, and you know what? It's a good game too. It's like Fire Emblem.
Maybe they'll have some sort of a Breath of the Wild pin like they tried with Codename Steam. Remember that? They had a Majora's Mask if you pre-ordered
I forgot about
Steam
that.
pin.
That was so stupid.
Yeah, they're trying to write on it, so maybe, who knows? They're trying with the pin tactic.
Oh, man.
Pin 2016.
I completely forgot about that pin. That was one of the stupidest pre-order bonuses I've ever seen. Hey, pre-order this game, you get a pin for a completely unrelated game that already came out a month ago. What?
My brother pre-ordered it, and he gave me the pin. I get compliments on that pin every day. It's a nice pin,
it's
but
great
a
pin.
terrible system of getting it.
Okay, what else?
All right. Let's move on to Mario Party Star Rush. I know Todd has some things to say about this.
Oh, yeah. I really liked it. I don't know how far that you were expecting me to go, because I was just like, it's good. But I think Chase had some stuff to say about it, but we had a bit of a slight discussion about that, where they're changing the formula up a bit, which I'm not too mad about myself, because, the last 2, at least, Mario Parties weren't fantastic. And this one looks really fun. I liked the mini games. The mini games were more of a mind game thing and more actual slight skill involved. Well, we haven't seen too much yet, but
everything we've seen gives us reason to be confident. I was curious to see like how this was playing out in the Mario Party community. Has anyone like seen anything about this? Because it's a radical change.
It's a rather mixed from what I've read on the subreddits on Reddit. It's some people are really liking it. Other people are like, "Why are you so mad? It's a good looks game. Looks good game."
What?
It's a good-looking game.
Oh. Yeah.
It's fine.
Had a bit of an aneurysm there.
To me, it just exists. I might look into it more as it sooner comes out, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not too invested in Mario Party these days, personally.
Yeah.
So I'm likely not going to pick it up, but it looks good from what we've been shown so far. So.
And really, like how you're saying that they're like changing it up. That's like Nintendo's theme right now. They're changing up like every IP.
Yeah, pretty much. They were talking about like, there was like, I don't know when we were going to bring this up, but they were talking about making a new sort of formula for Mario game eventually.
Question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very up in the air, but.
Yeah, I can imagine that happening just because they made Mario Maker, so we have the formula down. But yeah.
One thing that was interesting, just to cut away from that a little bit, was one of the biggest criticisms I ever read about Nintendo is they always do the same things. They always do the same franchises and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look at this year's E3. Look at the games they chose to show off. It wasn't Super Mario. It wasn't, I mean, they showed Pokemon, right? And they showed Zelda. But Look at this other stuff. Rhythm Heaven got a spotlight. You know, they're putting this spotlight on Tokyo Mirage Sessions and Ever Oasis, a new IP, and Yokai Watch, which nobody played, and you know, Box Boy. And it's like, you know, Nintendo is doing different stuff. I don't know why people are ignoring the things they do that are different and saying that they're always only doing the same things. I thought Nintendo had an excellent showing at this year's E3, and I feel like Zelda kind of buried it, but everyone's kind of ignoring the rest of it, you know?
Yeah, and they also had Splatoon released last year.
Yeah.
Around E3, and that's a new IP. And now they have Ever Oasis, another new IP.
It's always like a double-edged sword with Nintendo. You can either stick with the same formula that always works, they'll get money off of it, or you can change things up and, you know, see how that works out. Maybe they can go back to the old formula if this doesn't pan out, or just, it's always, there's like two sides of the fandom for Nintendo that just, they're always going to somehow be mad. Even if it just doesn't directly affect them, like, just don't buy it, and then Nintendo will learn not to do more, kind of thing.
Oh, are we moving on to Paper Mario Color Splash already, or is that later?
Do we want to...
I thought you might have been segueing there.
Maybe.
Well, up next on the list is Yokai Watch 2.
I'm just going to say this now. This is a game that sounds like it would be awesome for a Japanese person, but since I have no idea what any of these yokai are, I'm just not interested at all.
Yeah.
So yokai are they're kind of like spirits. So I played the first Yokai Watch, so I'm here to educate you all on this.
Educate us on it.
Yokai Watch 2 looks much better than the first game, and I love the first game. I am so excited for this. And
yeah, the graphics look amazing.
I'm like the only person in the world who gives a rip about this, but but you don't need to know the yokai. They're not like the real yokai. They're like Pokemon. They just made them up.
Yeah, well, in this one, I know you don't want to know too much about this one, but I think I already had spoiled it. But in this one, you can go back like 60 years and see classical yokai, and I think that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they're trying to do a lot of different things with this game. They have like a bigger world to explore, which is cool because the first Yokai Watch had a very big world with side quests everywhere, and it's a real RPG. It's a real RPG. It's aimed at kids, but that, you know what? That's fine. Sometimes you need a more relaxing RPG. You don't always need to have a hardcore Dark Souls, you know, competitive Pokemon scene. I don't want that all the time, and Yokai Watch is really good for that, and really excited for Yokai Watch 2.
All right.
By the way, I'm getting Fleshy Souls because it sounds way cooler than Bony Spirits.
Oh yeah, the two different versions.
I was gonna say, I love the titles for those. Fleshy Souls and Bony Spirits.
Sounds tasty. Fleshy Souls.
Slurp, slurp.
Part of your balanced breakfast.
Sorry.
Up next we have Box Boy. I never heard of the first game, but this one looks interesting.
You didn't?
Yeah, I really like how cute it looks. I especially liked when they showed off that cat box. That just almost sold the game for me.
Should be a cat box boy.
As someone who played the original Box Boy, I can highly recommend it. It's a great puzzle game. It's like $3 on the eShop as of like today because of the sale.
Oh.
So just go buy it. It's really good. It's a good way to spend like 7 hours of your life. It's got some good puzzles, and this one looks just as good. It's people who don't understand like the two sets of boxes thing. If you play the first game, you can only create one set of boxes at a time, and then when you make another one, the last one disappears. So if it doesn't look like the gameplay is like going to be radically different, it is. Because the second you add a second set of boxes to the mix, it's going to become a lot more complicated with all the different puzzles you can design.
So is it like going from one portal gun to having two portal guns?
It's exactly like that, yes.
That really explains the name. The name's funnier the more you think about that. Where it's just Box Boy, which means you can put two more boxes in it.
The funny thing is that they're probably going to do like a Box Boy, and then it's like,
yes, third game announced.
They can just keep going forever.
Fifth game.
Or no, they can call it Box Boy Cubed.
Or like man. Box, like with the little 3.
Or just Cubed Boy.
Cube Boy?
Cube Boy.
When it goes into 3D.
Yeah, watch that one be the 3D one.
They should have done a Cube Boy on GameCube.
Yes.
I'm actually wondering why they didn't like delve into more indie games. Like usually for their E3 stuff, they have like a ton of indie games they show.
Go ahead.
They had an indie showcase, I think.
Did they?
I think it was the first day of the conferences, was it?
It was during the YouTube Gaming Live thing with Jeff Keighley. They showed like Axiom Verge and Runbow, and like it is surprising they didn't like give that a little spot on the Treehouse Live because they usually do. You're right.
Yeah.
And Axiom Verge looks awesome. I can't wait. I've been waiting for that ever since it came out on PS4.
Axiom Verge looks cool. I don't. It looks like a really nice Metroidvania game, and I need some Metroid in my life right now since Nintendo's not giving it to us.
Josh, I've played Axiom Verge. It is It is Super Metroid. You're gonna love it. You're really gonna like. Well, it's closer to like Metroid because it's like an 8-bit, but it's still really fun. Same gameplay.
All right, so up next we have Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix. I was thinking of getting into this series like while this was on the stream, and then they announced that it was releasing on the eShop that day, so I might pick that up.
Yeah, according to Chase, this is actually a good one to get into since it has some of the older ones in it.
Yeah, it seems like the Katamari Forever of the Rhythm Heaven series in that regard.
And I would definitely suggest it. I have 2 of them, a DS and the Wii one. I've only played the DS so far, but it's pretty enjoyable. Like, you can't be rhythmically challenged. You have to be able to keep a rhythm, but if you can, it's a really decent rhythm game.
It's like $30, right?
I'm not sure, actually.
Because if it is, that's a little steep. I mean, like, I get that it's a really fun game and it's got a lot of replay value and everything, but I mean, for a game that they are only releasing as a download, basically, they're not bringing it to retail.
Yeah.
It just seems a little bit pricey. And I'm like perfectly willing to pay it because I want to play Rhythm Heaven, but you know, it's a download only.
Yeah.
With basically rehashes from all the other Rhythm Heaven games. So it's like a remake almost.
Yeah, I'd have to look up what the price is for it, and I might even wait for a discount.
$30, yeah.
Okay, $30. I mean, that's
Yep.
That's good for an eShop game.
Luckily enough, they also provided a demo on release, so that will be helpful. So you don't have to shed out like $30 for this whole game
to even find out if you like it. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
Also, like, it's a 3DS game, but it can still be really huge compared to the past games.
Yeah.
All right, so up next on the list is an RPG from Japan. It's only been released in Japan so far, but the fans have been clamoring for it. They've been writing petitions for it, and then they finally gave in and like, okay, we're going to localize it and release it in the United States.
It's Final Fantasy VII.
It's not Mother 3. Dragon Quest VII, finally coming to America on 3DS.
Yeah, after 3 years of being out in Japan.
Well, after 16 years of being out in Japan, because it came out on the original PlayStation.
Oh, right. But I mean on the 3DS.
It was also in the US on PlayStation.
Yeah, aren't they in like the 20s now or something?
No, they're at 12 right now.
Quite.
It's 12,
They're
yeah.
12?
12 is coming out on PS4 and NX next year, according to Square Enix.
I was just so confused. I'm like, 7. They're like almost double that.
So I am really excited about Dragon Quest VII. I love hardcore JRPGs. I get like really into it. I love Xenoblade Chronicles. I love adventures with like colorful characters, and Dragon Quest VII looks like it has that in spades. So I'm really excited for this, and the fact that it's coming out September 26th. I mean, God, how many JRPGs am I supposed to play this year? Look at this list. We got Pokemon, we got Yokai Watch, Dragon Quest, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Zelda now has RPG elements, Monster Hunter if you're into that, and then Ever Oasis. I mean, this
You gotta play them all.
This freaking company is churning out like 6 hardcore RPGs within the next year, pretty much.
Yeah, well, Nintendo systems have always been like homes for RPGs, especially JRPGs. Ever since the Super Nintendo, pretty much.
Just quickly, Box Boy, the first one is $2.69.
But it's not an RPG.
Yeah, we'll just
No, it
Unless
isn't.
the P stands for puzzle and the R stands for really.
I get really into Box Boy. I really feel like I am the box, you know?
Really puzzling game.
I like role-playing as boxes sometimes. It's a side hobby. I think
I self-identify as a box.
Metal Gear Solid fans might like Box Boy. It might be a good suggestion.
You're just constantly hiding.
Yeah, you are Snake. I don't know too much about Dragon Quest to bring that back from that tangent, but it looks amazing, and I've always heard good things about it. It's like how, like, in, like, 10 years ago I heard about Final Fantasy or something. I'm like, oh, I wonder how many of those are out. And I would just late to the series completely. So this might not a good one to start with per se, but it might get me into the series.
Well, they did mention that you can play the Dragon Quest games like out of sequence, like they're not related to each other. So like, and from what they're saying, Dragon Quest VII seems to be a really good entry point. Like it's a good beginner Dragon Quest game.
Okay,
it's very much like Final Fantasy in that regard.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And speaking of JRPGs, there's also a game that has continued to confuse us, but I think we're starting to get a better handle on it. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, FE.
That's a pound sign, obviously.
I am so on board with this game. Like it.
We're gonna pound the
So
FE.
I've been watching previews and I still don't really get it. But Xiber explained to me before we started this that it's kind of like, well, you explain it. What is this like?
I think the gameplay is more like Persona, and then it includes Fire Emblem characters in it. It's still very confusing though.
I don't know much about the game, but all I can say is that the CGI like anime effect is just probably one of the best I've seen, because at very many points I kept thinking, oh, is this a 2D part of it now? No, it's still 3D. What?
It's gorgeous, isn't it? It looks fantastic.
It is so kawaii.
You know, it makes me really want like a remaster of Catherine is what I think of when I look at this game. Like, oh man, we need Catherine on Xbox One and PS4. Like, I would buy that in about a second. I'm not a pervert.
Anyone have anything else to say about it?
We really don't know much. It's really hard to wrap the head around it, but yeah, it looks great.
There's probably a lot we could know about it. It's just that we don't look into it that much. We just see the fancy trailers they show, and we're all like, oh yeah, that still exists.
Well, it's difficult, you know, because there's almost a barrier of entry. The the whole game is in Japanese. The whole thing has subtitles. There's no English voiceovers.
Yeah.
So it's intimidating to go into looking into something like that, because like the whole time people are going to be talking at you in another language, and there is reading required. So like, it's hard to take everything in at once. It almost requires multiple watches of one trailer to kind of get what's going on.
So basically, the hardcore anime fans would enjoy
all the weeaboos picking up this game.
It's a very, very weeb game, and I love that.
We only accept Japanese. We only get English sub, no dub.
That's probably what the dubs were like. I don't want to make a game with actual English dubs.
But anyway, it looks like a fun game. You should check it out more. Did they have a release date for it yet?
It's coming out a week from today, Xiber.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we know nothing. We know nothing.
You know,
well, as I was saying that sentence, I remembered that it was coming out very soon.
I promise I will give you all a full report on this when I finally get around to playing. I'm going to try to finish Xenoblade Chronicles X first, but I'll probably get around to it soon after that.
You can always have Chase do a 5 high. I think he's really interested in the game.
What'd you say?
5 high.
Chase?
5 high?
Is that
where
it's called 5 hours in.
I've never heard it shortened to like
weeb.
that. Hi.
It's like a high five. It's a 5 high.
Yeah.
You frickin' weeb. All right, what's next? This is off the rails.
Up next, we have Monster Hunter Generations. And
Play as a cat.
Yeah, Todd wrote in parentheses, you can play as a cat.
That's what I've always wanted. I've never really gotten into it, but I've always seen the cats off to the side, and they were like, we got this new costume for it. I'm like, great, but that doesn't really affect me. It's wearing a costume that I could be wearing. Like, maybe
Did they
the
have
cat.
like a weird animal costume like in the last one or something? I forgot what it was. It was like
all the felines like had
something.
like Sonic costumes, and there was like a Mario and Luigi one.
Yeah.
They had like a bunch
It was
of
like a Mario and Luigi ferret costumes. It was weird.
It'd be great if
Monster Hunter is like a weird franchise, like when it comes to Nintendo, because Nintendo bought the exclusive rights to have Monster Hunter on their 3DS family of systems, which was a huge get for them in Japan, because PSP, the only reason it competed with the DS at all is because it had Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it was a huge like PlayStation IP for people.
And Nintendo just stole it away from them, like straight up. And now the 3DS is a mega hit in Japan with all these Monster Hunter and Yokai Watch games. And it's kind of coming over to America with this Monster Hunter obsession. So Nintendo like really pushes this game. So they get all these exclusive like costumes in the game too.
Yeah.
Based off their characters.
And it's fun games. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, I know very little about Monster Hunter, except for the basic premise of it, and also the Monster Hunter levels that they had in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker.
Well, apparently, like one of the big things for this one is they're gonna have like monsters that apparently are more used to fighting humans because they've survived them or something. I'm all like, that wasn't a thing already.
Yeah.
Okay.
The new designs for the new monsters look pretty cool.
They look awesome. Yeah. They look horrifying.
And that's great.
I really wanted to like Monster Hunter 4 when it came out last year. I played it and I could not get into it. It threw way too much at you at one time for me to wrap my head around. And maybe I just need to give it another shot, but I couldn't get into it. And I don't know if this one's going to be the same way, but we'll see.
The most I've ever gone into is just watching a friend play it, like one of the old PS2 ones, and I was all like, so you run around and kill monsters, okay. I don't actually know what else there is, but like the gameplay and stuff looks pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty much like how Nintendo has been doing it this year, where it's like, I don't know too much about this game series, but they make it look really fun, you know?
This is like their way of getting people to play games besides Smash Bros.
Yeah, Nintendo's had a habit in recent E3s of like showing us the games, showing people playing the games and having fun playing the games.
Yes,
as opposed to what every other company does. And
it is definitely
hype up the games.
It is contagious.
It's not a guy just standing there all solemn-like playing it
with Beats headphones on.
Yeah.
No, but like I was saying, it's contagious. I see Audrey Drake, playing a game. She's like, "Oh, they're so cute. This is so much fun." And it's like, I want to play that. Like even if it ends up sucking, like it's cool to see them having fun with the game that they clearly enjoy. And even if they don't enjoy it, I mean, they're like something negative in the game will happen. They'll be like, "Oh, that's cool though," because. Like it's just funny to see those reactions.
Nintendo swears kind of thing.
Like we weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah, the Nintendo swears. Do you want to go into the
stuff like that?
We had a bit.
Oh, you got me.
We had a bit in the ZBN chat about Nintendo swears. Instead of saying like F, they'll go like, "Oh, you hurt me."
Oh darn.
Oh dang.
It's like the
oh no.
Oh, I missed.
Like you can tell they're holding back and purposely trying to throw those more tame expressions in there.
I'm just imagining them like making the sounds that the characters in Smash Bros make when they're launched off screen.
like Fox from the Smash Bros series. Can you imagine in the stream someone just go no? Sorry, I still am mad about that sound.
All right.
But I also really liked watching, like, I think her name was Chico or something, playing Zelda. I'm all like, she is awesome, explosive,
Chico
and amazing.
Chico is great. And they were just like, well, we can't really control what Chico does. She just does whatever she wants. And,
oh, yeah.
And she sets fire to everything in existence.
Yes.
Oh, no, look, now she's setting herself on fire. Isn't that great? Oh, Chico.
and the baby spike balls, but they're not actually babies, guys. They're not real babies. But yeah, watching these people play these games was really cool. Like watching Sam play Rhythm Heaven and being really good at it made me feel like, hey, I want to be playing Rhythm Heaven and I want to be good at it too.
Yeah, Sam was amazing
that looks
at
easy.
that.
I can do that.
Sam was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, guys, because it's kind of loud. And she like dominates every game. She was amazing.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know she was so good at games.
When she started out with Rhythm Heaven, she was like, so do you want me to lose or win? And they're like, oh, no, just play. And then she just beat it almost flawlessly. And like, whoa.
Yeah.
I follow Sam on Twitter, and sometimes I tweet things at her, and sometimes she tweets back, so that's cool.
That's cool. So follow Spigel on Twitter if you wanna see some Sam tweets.
We actually had a couple of successful Twitter moments this E3. Do you want to talk about that, Todd, or is that like not the right setting for this?
Sorry, what was it?
I was saying both of us had a couple of successful Twitter moments this E3. Is this not like right place to talk about it?
I mean, we might as well because we're going to go into a sort of a Paper Mario rant right after this. So
yeah, that's the last game.
You can start with your shit.
Well, okay. So during Sony's press conference, I tweeted out, putting Crash Bandicoot in Skylanders is like putting cigarette ads in a Nickelodeon magazine. Like, who are you targeting? And people in the ZBN chat, they're like, that's not funny. But instantly, I got like 200 likes and a bunch of retweets. So screw you guys. I thought it was funny, and it worked out.
You also got an argument, didn't you? Or was that on Omnis?
Yeah. We had an argument over me and Omni were arguing against this one guy who was just like being really stupid about it, saying, "Oh, kids love Crash Bandicoot and Skylanders is still relevant." No, they don't, and no, it's not.
No, it's not. It's not relevant.
You know, actually, I was talking to some kids that just got into high school, and they were talking about Crash Bandicoot. I'm all like, you guys know Crash Bandicoot? Yeah, we're playing like the second game right now. What?
Well, they probably have older siblings or something.
No, they don't. Like, one of them's my cousin, and the other one doesn't have older sibling.
The other one's an orphan.
That's offensive.
I have no love, so I have Crash.
So what was your tweet that got all the attention, Todd?
When I was watching Legend of Zelda, a specific GIF thing. popped in my head of it. Adventure Time when Finn was doing that parkour scene where he was really not doing parkour. So I made that tweet.
He was just like jumping up
He's like,
onto a wall and then climbing back down, kicking a tree.
It fit it so perfectly.
Doing a somersault.
He climbs up the cliff. Yeah. Everything that basically everyone was doing, they're just running and like climbing over anything they can climb over. And that got like 100 retweets and 200 likes. So that's like my highlight.
Did we get any followers out of that at the ZBN on Twitter?
A couple, I think.
Oh, nice. Good. Very good. I didn't really get any, which is weird because like 200 likes, I didn't get one follower. Oh, well.
Twitter's a fickle thing.
Yeah. So do we want to move on to probably what might be the most contentious game on this list?
Metroid Prime Federation Force. No, you know what? They didn't show it. I was honestly kind of amazed. I really expected that they would, and they didn't. And I don't know what to think of that.
When is that coming out? The fall or
like August like yeah. It almost was like they're waving a white flag. Like, what are you giving up? I mean, you're not going to market this game?
I think they just wanted to avoid the controversy.
Yeah,
they might
pretty good PR to avoid that because they saw all the just stuff about it, so they didn't show anything.
Well, it's the funny kind of game because every time they show it, the reaction just got worse and worse, and it's just like there's like nothing they can do to save this game. I almost feel bad. Like, I don't want it, but I feel bad for the game and the people who made it.
Yeah.
Instead, they showed us...
Nice tangent.
Paper Mario
Oh, yeah, I forgot that they... yeah.
All right, just to start off the Color Splash thing.
I hate this game. I don't want to play it.
What? I thought you were one of the people that started saying it was good.
No, I'm not one of those people. I still think it looks like an atrocity.
I think only one person actually... was trying to get a benefit of the doubt.
Well, me and Dan were sort of like really liking it because we're first impressions. We haven't ever played any of the other Paper Marios, so it looks fantastic. But then I read a lot of criticisms online, and this is
is it an RPG or is it a platform where you kill people
Color
with
Splash,
cards?
Visually, it's very good. I thought Sticker Star was also a really good looking game visually on the 3DS.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but this also seems like Sticker Star 2, and that comes with quite a few problems. The combat system is a little unbalanced because you just stock up on all of these cards that you need, or stickers.
You're sugarcoating it, really.
Yeah.
I would say it's bad game design.
I have a couple things that I've picked up from the internet. Basically, there's no leveling up. The cards you get, they get progressively stronger. The bosses can basically be defeated when you get an ultimate card that just renders them completely weak. Like as we saw, the fire hydrant just completely basically beat the boss. Otherwise, it's gonna do 48 damage every hit.
Cards are too OP, better nerf Greninja.
Yeah, and basically, like, because of the card system, you could not easily run out of cards per se, but now that there's a paint thing, also, you sort of want to avoid battling even more, and that's not really a good thing in an RPG, is to avoid the battles.
It's not an RPG. It's not an RPG.
What?
Like, there's no doubt about it that they've completely gotten away from that.
Right, that's what I mean.
Because there's no EXP, there's no... Like, even their damage is consistent throughout the whole game for every card, for every move that you can do.
Right.
So...
That's what I mean, is they took out even the remaining shell, like the skeleton that may have had it be an RPG.
They didn't bring back the party system, so the cast of characters is suffering because of that. The narrative looks very watered down, like it was in Sticker Star, which is something that at least Super Paper Mario had, even though people had problems with that game. It at least had a Paper Mario-worthy storyline and characters.
Yes.
Yeah, and Sticker Star and Color Splash, they don't have that, and that makes me really disappointed, and I don't know if I want to pick this one up.
I really hope that narrator at the start is just part of like the trailer we saw for... If you want to get into that, even
the narration on that was, it feels like they put that in there so the kids watching the trailer would understand what's going on, even though you could clearly understand what's going on without the narration.
A bit patronizing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very patronizing.
You're like, okay, Nintendo fans, this is why you should like it. I know you didn't like the last one, but this is what's going on.
My favorite part...
Well, they heard people really liked voice acting, so...
They put voice acting in Zelda. Kind of.
They did, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a bit of almost a theme is for intros to start with voice acting.
Open your eyes.
Open your eyes. Wake up.
I can't tell if you're making fun of my voice. Hey, stop making fun of me. I'm sick.
I thought you were doing a bit.
No, I'm not doing a bit.
It.
My voice is literally cracking every time because I can't talk.
I really thought you were
You're so mean.
Too.
Hey, I do this podcast so that people will like enjoy listening to
You're
what
like
I
how
have to
Josh
say.
was
They'll
at the
enjoy
start.
listening.
You're like how Josh was at the start of Rush the Fort.
What, like going
Always
to
clipping the
puberty?
mic.
Like what?
Voice cracking all the time.
My voice still cracks. We should probably start wrapping this up because we've been recording for about 45
No.
minutes.
Yeah, it's
Longest
it's basically
MR
a
ever.
podcast now.
Just make it a podcast. Who cares?
Yeah, just like do a little bit like Josh record at the end of this going to the podcast or something, just put over the part where you say
Instead of Minish recap, every time we
Or,
say
no,
yeah.
we can do a Ministry Cap intro and then and then also like try to integrate the podcast somehow. I don't
It's
know.
like
We can do something with
halfway
it.
through the episode, switch to the podcast
It's a
intro.
Minish podcast. Nobody will notice because nobody watches the actual video. Oh, see, now you all just checked. Look, it's a podcast now. It's magic.
But I know we weren't going to talk about Zelda too much, but their show floor for it,
Impressive.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
was
Amazing.
Show floor was great.
It had weather.
just fantastic.
Not actual weather, but
Yeah, whether like there was apparently, I saw a video that they talked about there are foot areas where you would step on and it would trigger something in the environment. Like
I know Gerard, the
Mr.
completionist.
Perfection.
He was walking around. He stepped on one of the plates, and it made the food in the pan bubble up a bit, and scared the crap out of this little girl that was standing next to it.
I love it.
I love when Pro Jared was asked what he thought of everything. He's like, everything sucks. And then they believed him for a second there. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much we want to talk about Zelda.
we didn't even see Zelda.
No.
I mean, well, I don't want to spoil anything in terms of like what my opinions are because we're gonna really go into Zelda on the post show, the E3
Gonna
post show.
grill in her.
Yeah.
You're gonna dig deep in
into
there.
Zelda.
Deeper.
I really like how much they showed though, and I don't know. It is game of the show. If we're just going on technical stuff right now, it did win game of the show. Not officially yet, but by far.
From IGN, it did.
Oh,
And
really?
from you,
Well,
it did.
Yeah.
just
Well,
basing
and-
on data alone, it's just it got twice as much as even Battlefield 1, which was the most liked trailer of YouTube
all time.
history ever.
Yeah.
So it beat that. So, I don't know if we want to start going into like grading Nintendo like we've done all the other conferences. It's not
I was ready to give him a score.
Yeah,
I was
it's
gonna
difficult
score him.
to grade because it's not a conference
Yeah.
per se.
It's kind
But-
of comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah. As far as Nintendo went, I would give it a 10. It's just,
Yeah.
I think that's a totally fair score. Like, I mean, I know we're Nintendo fans,
Yeah, we're a bit
But,
biased. Just a bit.
but that does that not factor into it? That's what we're most excited for. I think that's
Yeah.
totally fair.
Yeah,
know?
that's fine.
And on that same note, I'll give them a 9.5. I thought everything was just excellent. The Paper Mario stuff I could have honestly done without, but they needed to market it at some point, so I get it.
Yeah.
And just as an aside, it's interesting to see the embarrassment of riches that the 3DS received this year as opposed
Yeah.
to the Wii U. I mean, I know the Wii U's dead and the 3DS is still making money, but like literally everything was 3DS except Zelda and Paper Mario
Yep.
and Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but they didn't show that much of that. So
What about you, Xiber?
I think I give Nintendo a wow, holy crap, you made me watch you for 2 whole days and I didn't get bored.
Yeah, they definitely got that over Ubisoft. If you know.
yeah, thank you, Ubisoft. You do a 2-hour stream, we're bored to death. I watched Nintendo for 17 straight hours, and I'm like, yeah, I want more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did like a great amount of like recording. They showed us a good amount without spoiling too much, but it also wanted us to want to look up more about it. It was a great like in between there.
Yeah, they definitely showed as much as we wanted to see from the games we wanted to see, kind of thing. A couple of them were like, all right, but it was still just enough that it wasn't past the point of like all right, can this be done now? Because I want to watch the other stuff.
And all this in a year that Nintendo is considered to be rebuilding their brand and like just kind of taking a year off in terms of developing like hardcore games. Like they still got us all the stuff that has us this excited. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Is it too early to say like Nintendo is back?
I really think
Possibly.
Because this is the first time I've felt confident in this company in several years now.
I
Confident
feel like
that they'll be able to build their brand and they'll be able to capture core gamers again. I think they're on the right path.
they're on the right path. I feel like we can't say that for sure until we see the reception to the NX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think they've been on the right path for the past 2, maybe 3 years, but this is like the start of where that path is going straight to where we want it to go.
Yeah, like you could see like the remnants of them building it up in the past 2 years, and then this year
You can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel.
all of their efforts are starting to show this year, and it's really great. It made me, because I knew last year that they weren't showing much, and everyone was like, they deserved a lot of the crap they got, but in part I knew that they would be working on stuff like this year's stuff. So it's like they took a bit of a fall, but then they had to pick themselves up twice as, good.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to see like how this NX goes, which I think like they've bound to have like it announced by September, I think.
Yeah, they've got to do it sometime soon, like some kind of NX event.
The anticipation will literally kill me if the sickness doesn't get to me first. So,
You are already dead from that.
well, I mean, there's no denying E3 left me basically like a corpse. I was so, oh my God, after Monday, and then I had to do like Tuesday at work, like early in the morning, and then I came home and I watched Nintendo until like 3 in the morning, and then I opened again the next day. It was not good.
That's why I liked my office job. I just watched it while at work.
I will say I got to talk to the best Zelda fan at work today. He was like so into it. He went to E3, him and his wife.
Nice.
Oh, man.
So shout out to you. You know who you are. I can't remember your name. I plugged this show to you, so you may be listening right now. And if that's you, that's awesome, man. Thank you for listening.
All right. I didn't give my score yet.
Well, you don't get to. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, we don't care about you, Josh. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Show's over.
I really don't want to give it a score, like a number score, because I don't want to compare it too much to the other conferences.
Yeah.
But if I had to give it one, I'd give it a 9.5. The 0.5 that I took off from the 10 is mostly because like some games that like look good, but I'm not sure if I'm that excited for them personally, like Color Splash, Mario Party Star Rush, but the rest of them look good, and also a little tiny dash of skepticism for Breath of the Wild. Still getting used to that name, by the way.
Yeah, everyone, like, it's not even us. Everyone's calling it Breath of the Wind on accident.
Yeah.
It's kind of a non-traditional Zelda game. I mean, look at all the Zelda game titles. There's not a single title that's paced, I guess, like Breath of the Wild. Breath of the
How am I
Wild.
supposed to say BOTW quickly?
Maybe
Batu.
Batwa.
I think the special ability
Batua.
is him going like and having bad breath or something.
But yeah, my skepticism over that game, maybe I'll talk about it in the post show that we're going to be doing.
Ooh.
And maybe
Stay
you'll get to
tuned,
see
everybody.
what my game of show is. So stay tuned
It's
for
not
that.
Death Stranding, is it? Because they didn't show any gameplay.
It's not going to be Death Stranding.
Okay, good.
I'm not that much of a Kojima fanboy. Although I do have a shrine to him in my closet. What? No, what?
We heard it.
No one even disputed that. What? No, what? We're like, we know, Josh. We know.
Yeah, I don't need you to tell me that. Like, I already know everything.
I've been in your closet, I know.
We know this about you, Josh.
All right.
I don't know if that game is going to have as many dead whales as the trailer led us to believe.
Save the whales.
Not as many Norman fetuses as they let us believe.
I wonder how Omni likes the font. I wonder how Omni likes the font that was used in that trailer. We should ask him. Whoever's on the Zelda podcast, ask him if he likes the Death Stranding font.
Oh yeah.
And maybe you'll find out if you watch the Zelda podcast that we're going to be putting
wrap
up after this.
up, Josh.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
I keep distracting him because I'm the worst.
Thank you for listening to this Minish recap podcast thing, whatever it was.
Recast.
This has been Josh, your host, with Spigel, Todd, and Xiaber. See you guys.
Bye. 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 Okay, bye.
All right.